Hey there, it's Jeff from Modern Combat and Survival, and if you look online, you're going to find a lot of preppers out there that have these really cool storage rooms or basements where they're hoarding all of their survival gear, their food, their water, and everything else. But what if you live in tight quarters, like an apartment? What are you going to do for storage space then? Well, I have some tips for you right now. Check this out. Okay, we get this question all the time from people about, hey Jeff, I want to store supplies for an emergency or for a crisis, but I don't have a lot of room. I live in a small apartment or a small house or something like that. Where can I put all of this stuff? Well, one of the things that you can do is to go ahead and get an off-site facility like a storage room or something like that you can put this stuff in if you're really, really challenged and don't have any room whatsoever. But there are some things that you can do even at home where you can take advantage of some little used space that you might have. Now I'm in a spare bedroom in my home right now just to show you that you can do a lot in just a little bit of a 7 foot by 3 foot section of your home, all right? So really when you're talking about survival, all you really care about is shelter, food, water, and security. Those four things, right? Well, shelter, you're already in your apartment. So we're going to assume a survive in place scenario. You already have that shelter. There are some challenges with that kind of a survive in place location. I'll talk about that here in just a minute. But let's talk about the other one. So food. Now, a lot of people have these big, large pantries. They're hoarding canned goods. They've got these really elaborate setups down in their basement with canned goods. They're storing away big, giant sacks of flour and rice and things like that. But if you live in a small apartment with a small kitchen and no pantry or something like that, it's really challenging, right? Well, here's one of the things I tell people to do. One of the most economical ways for you to store survival food actually isn't even with the canned goods and things like that, but it's with dried foods that are specific for survival. Now these have a 25-year shelf life, which is way longer than any canned goods will, right? This right here, this one kit is a month-and-a-half supply of food for one person. So figure it out. From there, if you've just got, if you have 4 people, that's a little over a week of food for your family, just in this one kit right here. Obviously you can add more kits, but it fits right underneath the bed. That you're not using the space underneath the bed, nobody sees it, you're good to go. It's very economical as well because each serving is only a little bit over $1. So it's really economical to get this kind of food now. The other thing I really like about it is if you have to hightail it out of your apartment, well, bringing a bunch of canned goods, really, really tough, right? This kind of food, you just pick it up, put it in the back of your vehicle, and you're good to go, all right? So we've got food taken care of here. Now let's talk about water. You're going to find people that are going to be stacking up big bottles of water, these cases of water, or the big giant jugs of water that you normally find in water fountains. Well, here's another alternative for you. So this is called the water brick. And you'll find a link for this where the video is. But this is a water brick. It holds about 2 gallons of water. And water does not go bad. A lot of people think that, well, if you store water and things like this, it'll go bad. It doesn't. Water doesn't go bad. But these are great because they stack up. So if you put these inside of a closet or something like that, you can just keep stacking these things up really, really high. The blue also protects it from UV light. So even if it's in a place where there's light, it'll shield the water, anything that you have in there. You can actually use this as storage for anything from ammunition to food, anything. But they're called a water brick. All right, so that's water. Now, the only other thing that I would suggest that you have is a way to manufacture water and not just store water. So this is one of the integrated water filters that we use with our X-Bob bug out bags. But you can just use this for regular water that you would have in that you find outside or anything like that. Even if the water coming out of the tap isn't very healthy or clean, you can still use this to be able to manufacture water when you need it. All right, so we've got everything covered except for security, and that's where you're going to be really, really challenged in an apartment complex, because anytime you're in a concentrated location like that, well, people start freaking out, right? Especially those that aren't prepared, which is pretty much everybody else. So it's only a matter of time in that kind of a concentrated environment before somebody starts knocking on your door asking if you have any extra food, water, or other supplies. So one thing I tell people to do is don't answer the door. All right. Also, you want to reinforce the door with bigger screws than what normally comes, even in the main door to your apartment or wherever it is. So reinforce those screws with at least 2.5 inches of screws going into where the hinges are to make sure that nobody can really just easily take down that door. But you have to be very careful because one of these times when things get really out of hand, you might have to leave that location, all right? So the other thing that you need to figure out for your security is what is your evacuation plan if you have to leave, especially if you're in an apartment building like on a second floor or something like that. So if you have the hordes of people are with pitchforks and torches at your front door, how else can you get out of your apartment? Is there a back door? Is there a window you can get out of? If you're on the second floor, maybe you need something like a ladder that you can put out and you can climb out a back window or something like that. It really comes down to you taking an assessment of your own home to be able to figure out what it is that you specifically need to do for your exit plan. All right, so those are 4 things. Shelter taken care of, but reinforce your perimeter. Food, I recommend that you get some dried food and put it in kits that you can slide underneath a bed or put in a closet. Water bricks work really well, but any way that you can store it. But the most important thing is being able to filter water that you can find somewhere that will make it drinkable. And then security, you've got to be able to make sure that you are, again, hardening your perimeter, but then also have an evacuation plan. Now, I cover this in a lot more detail in one of our free workshops. You'll find a link here with a video that you can go and check out when we have our next workshop. Go ahead and get registered for it and sign up for it now. All right, that's all we got. So until the next video, this is Jeff Anderson saying prepare, train, and survive.